Hello, week 6 already. God, I can't believe it. I'm gonna miss you guys, even though I don't even know you. I don't know who you are, like face to face. So what I'm thinking is, come fall, if you're on campus, I don't think it's rude, like if I walk by you and don't know you, because obviously, I don't know who you are face to face. So, I can kind of recognize you with the pictures that a couple of you put in VSpace, but if you see me in the hall during the fall or winter or whatever, just stop by and say hi. It'd be really great to meet these mystery students that I've been working with. I read in my office, but I found the greatest picture ever. Okay, wait, it's not. There it goes. Cutest dogs. They kind of are the cutest dogs ever. So our cutest dog contest. They are in Little Lions jerseys. Let's see, it's kind of reflecting. Can you see them? This is Barkley. Whoops. And this one is Jerome. Cute dogs. That's enough of the dog talk. Okay, back to business. I just had to show them off again because I brought a new cute picture. Okay, we don't have much to talk about in this weekly update. I do want to talk about our final paper for a little bit. But I just have a couple quick things to talk about. Things are going really great. I do want to say that I've been reading all your critical reading and writing and all the responses from this past week, all your postings. Awesome. And it's really fun because remember at the beginning of the semester we were saying, what is this book about? There's all these crazy things that you're talking about. But it's neat to see how you're actually using those techniques that we've been dealing with to actually reason through some of those strange topics like the Loch Ness Monster or whatever. So you are seeing how these techniques are applicable in these situations, but I can also see, as we did with paper 2, using those or trying to figure out what they were in real world situations and how they are used frequently. So you can see how that's often the case. So I'm really glad that you're actually picking up on these and your responses are getting, they're just as great as they were at the beginning of the semester. You're still writing a lot. You're still really thinking through a lot of these responses. So I'm really happy to see that. So thanks a lot for putting all that effort into it, especially, during the summer when I know that everybody has like a million things going on. So I appreciate you taking the time to, sit down and really make this class, priority, given that you have like a zillion other things. So that's really great. And I know that a couple of you have missed postings here and there, but that's okay. It's not like you missed one and you failed the course. So don't even put that out of your mind. Just keep moving forward. So kudos to all of you on that. Paper 2, I just want to let you know that I'm grading those, and as with last time, you'll have them within the week, so you'll have them back Sunday. So far so good, a lot of good stuff. I was really excited to see some of your examples when you were emailing me those. So it was very fun, excited, lots of good ideas. I'll talk about paper 3 in just a second, but I know. Next week's weekly update, I'll remind you about having to fill out the course evaluation, like you usually do in a face-to-face class. You have to write out fill in the bubbles and all that. There's an online version, obviously, because this is an online course, so I'll walk you through that next week. But what I would appreciate is in this response for this week, I was wondering if maybe you could just give me some feedback on the course. Maybe one thing that you thought went well. Just kind of like we did with the drafts a couple weeks ago. One thing that you thought worked well, and then one thing that you think could use improvement. Don't worry, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm just curious. Because this is this is the English department. This is their experiment with online courses, and so I'm anxious to see what could be improved. If I could go back to the department and say, hey, look, the students thought this. They said this worked well. They thought this is what we can improve on. Here is our benchmark. Let's move on from here. That would really help me, and I think it would really help future students as well if you could give some feedback, and honest feedback, again, not going to hurt my feelings. So don't even worry about it. So that would be a great thing to put in your response this week. Update paper. Paper 3. I'm kind of like a mess right now. I'm also moving right now, so like my whole life is like everything is like in the middle of nowhere. So if you're wondering, like I'm shuffling papers, it's just as any of you who've moved, is just knows how hectic that gets. Okay, So, paper 3, the search formula. This one's a little bit different than the other papers that you've done. In fact, actually, kind of all of our papers have been a little different. This one has kind of like a standard paper that goes along with it, but it's a two-parter sort of thing. So I'm going to go through this. And the reason why I'm talking about this now is I don't want to wait until next week to actually go through this because it's due next Saturday on the 17th. Because that's technically when the semester ends, so that's why it's due on Saturday. So I'm going to go over this now, kind of go through some of the details of the paper. You will be reading Chapter 7 next week, but I think it's next week. You might be reading it this week. I can't remember. The syllabus in front of me, I should probably check. Anyway, you'll be reading it soon. Again, my life is a mess right now. Can't find anything. You have some reading, and I don't know what you're reading this week. I don't know why I don't have it written down. You'll find it. You'll figure it out. You're smart. So you're doing some reading. Kind of just erase what I just said there, that I wasn't prepared. Just focus in on this. So Chapter 7 of Weird Things, you're going to read that. It talks about the search formula. And that's what you're going to write this paper. That's what the basis for this paper is a search formula. What you're going to be doing is there are three parts to this. You're going to gather some sources. You're going to analyze each source using the search formula, which I'll talk about in a sec. And then you're going to write a short informative essay. So let's talk about the gathering sources part. In paper 3, it says, Chapter 7 of Weird Things, there are several different topics listed below that are discussed at length in Chapter 7. And these topics are homeopathy, intercessory prayer, UFO abductions, communicating with the dead, near-death experiences, ghosts, conspiracy theories, and climate change. So those are the different topics. I can't remember if I put this in the reading on VSpace or not, but I would recommend choosing your topic in advance. And you only really need to read that section of Chapter 7. I think there's some introductory reading before each of these different sections, but let's say you pick that first one, homeopathy, only read that section. You really don't need to go through all of the sections if you don't want to. I mean, if you're interested in it, you might as well, but because we're kind of limited on time, you might as well just read the section that you're going to write about and focus in on that. So pick that topic. So you're going to think about which one you want to do, read that section, and then you're going to gather 5 sources about that topic. So again, if you pick that first one, homeopathy, you're going to find five sources about homeopathy. But you're going to gather 5 different types of sources, and then on the assignment sheet itself, it has different types of sources. This is just a short list. If you come up with different types of sources, that's fine with me. But I just have a list of them here. News report, academic journal, article, book. It can be a chapter from a book. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. A blog, a podcast. You can even, if you want to just follow, a Twitter trend, if you just want to, follow one of the hashtags and see maybe there are a certain amount of people talking about homeopathy. If you want to do that, that works for me too. A podcast, a movie, song, album, website, magazine, discussion board, really any type of source you can come up with. The world is your oyster. Also, if that isn't enough for you, you can actually create your own source if you want. For example, you could significantly edit a Wikipedia article on the topic. You can create a video discussing your aspect of any topic, create a soundtrack that reflects one or more of the topics, for example, or any other creative undertaking. So, if you don't like the sources that exist, you can actually create one. So for you creative types, if this is something that, kind of strikes your fancy, or if you, want to get outside of your comfort zone, you could go ahead and do that too. But you do need 5 types of sources. So 5 sources about one topic. All right, so only one topic, 5 sources about that topic though. All right, so you've got that, got your topic. You've got your 5 different sources, 5 different types of sources. So you can't have 5 news reports. You have to have news report, journal article, book or chapter, blog, podcast, movie, so you have to have 5 different types. Alright, so then part 2, you're going to analyze each source using the search formula. And so the search formula is really detailed heavily in Chapter 7. But this is basically the rundown of it. There are 4 steps to the search formula. The claim, evidence for the claim, consider the alternative hypotheses, and then rate according to the criteria of accuracy each hypothesis. Now that 4th one is really kind of clunky. It's one of those dumb things that academics love to do all the time, is to make acronyms. And when they do make acronyms that come out stupid, like number 4, because they're trying to get, let's see, I don't even know, it doesn't even come out right. SECRA, like they spelled it, I don't know, whatever. But these are the 4 steps for the search formula. Anyway, so you're going to go through those 4. What I want you to do is look at each one of your sources, read through it, and analyze it by each of these. So as you're reading your source, you might, put a little, you might highlight a section and say, oh, this is number 1. This is the claim that they're making. And then you're going to go ahead and examine the evidence for the claim. Just like you've been practicing, throughout the semester. Okay, why is this a valid argument? What's the word I'm looking for? What sort of evidence do they give to support that claim? How do they actually try to argue this? So you're going to look for all the different types of argumentation or different types of evidence that are in there. There may be alternative hypotheses in there. They say, well, if this doesn't work, well, this is another way of thinking about it. Or as you're reading it, you might think, why didn't the author think of this other way? You talk about that. And then finally, rate according to the criteria of accuracy, which is discussed, each hypothesis. So you can say, well, I think this hypothesis is pretty plausible, for these reasons. So you're going to talk about all that. You're going to do that for each source. So you're going to do that 5 times. But what you're going to do, instead of just listing the numbers, listing the steps, so instead of just like going, okay, 1, here's the claim, 2, here's, that. You're going to actually write a short little paragraph, about 150 to 200 words, just like the responses that you do for the critical reading and writing. Those are about 200 words. So that's what you're going to do here for each one of the sources. So you're going to do that for 5 sources. You're going to discuss all 4 steps for each of the source in about 150 to 200 words. And that's for each one. So for each source, So you only need 150 to 200 words per source, not per question. So source 1, blog article, 150-word response discussing the 4 things. Source 2, podcast, 150 to 200-word response discussing the 4 things, etc., etc. Okay, so you had that. You have your 5 short responses, right? Good to go on that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that information that you've learned and you're going to actually write a short informational paper. This informative essay is going to be 3-page double-spaced about the topic you selected. So again, if you're talking about homeopathy, what you're going to do is you're going to take all the information that you've just learned from those 5 different sources, and you're going to write me an informational essay about what homeopathy is based on the sources that you found. So if you want to think about it, that you're teaching this to somebody. So you can say, I don't think, my neighbor knows anything about homeopathy. I'm going to write something so that they're informed about it. You must use all 5 sources in your informative essay. Your informative essay should be written to an audience of knowledgeable peers. Again, they might know something about it, but not really know anything about it. Your audience doesn't know as much as you do about this topic, so you'll need to write it in a way that's understandable to a wide audience. Your informative essay should include a detailed description of the topic, suggestions on how to interpret this topic, what ongoing research, if any, is currently happening, and any other details that your audience would find helpful to understand the topic. Remember, include in-text citations whenever you borrow information. So you're using those 5 sources that you already found in this informative essay. So you're going to, anytime you use information from one of those sources, you're going to put that little parenthetical essay with the author's name, and the information. So you're going to do that. What I would recommend if you're kind of struggling, like how would you set up this informative paper? When I said your informative essay should include detailed description of the topic, suggestions on how to interpret this topic, write a little section for each one of those. That would be the easiest way to, you can check off each section as you're done. But then it'll also keep you on track. It'll help you organize your paper nicely. And it'll give you a little bit of, like I said before, I like to write in little chunks. Like I like to say, okay, I'm just going to write this part today, and then I'm going to call it a day. So that'll help you do that. So I would recommend doing that too. And if you'd like, you can, put headers in there, with those topics. Fine with me. All right, so that's that paper. Again, we can go over that again in detail next week. That way you'll get a chance to look through some of the stuff. Maybe you come up with a topic. If you have questions about it, please email me and let me know. I thought of all of you. Speaking of my dogs, I know, They're like ridiculously spoiled. This is kind of embarrassing. They go to puppy daycare. I know. Spoiled. Spoiled rotten is what they are. Anyway, so it's called Paw Palace, which is the best place in the whole wide world for them. And on the sign when you walk in, it says, "Dog rules at the Paw Palace." It says, "People are in charge. You are not a person. You are not in charge." And I'm like, oh, that's like our class. Because, I'm looking at page 41 here. The disjunctive syllogism. Either P or Q. Not P, therefore Q. Or, I think, did I get that wrong? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Wait, no. That was the wrong one. Was it denying the consequent? Look at this. I'm the instructor and I'm getting this all wrong. If P, then Q. Not Q, therefore not P. People are in charge. You are not a person. You are not in charge. So there we go. It was in work every day. Okay, that's it for today. I think, yeah. All right. I look forward to reading your responses. You get your papers. All right. I'll talk to you later. With one more week to go. You guys can make it. Bye.